Hello. Welcome to Art Breaks with Jan. Time to pause, reflect, find beauty. I'm so glad you're here. I'm going to share the screen so we can get started. Great. Okay. So art breaks are an invitation for us to take 10 or 15 minutes out of our day and a chance to elevate our mind and give our brain something different to do, to consider something other than ourselves, other than our current work or concerns or endeavors. Think outside the walls of our home while we're all in quarantine. And so I'm going to invite us to take a few deep breaths, to relax, to make sure we're sitting comfortably. And today's art break is going to be a landscape by John Constable, a British painter who was trained at the Royal Academy and trained under the masters, but always loved, couldn't resist getting back out to the English countryside. He loved the rolling hills, the ponds, the sky, and he loved painting from nature. So our first art break is this painting by John Constable. What I'm going to ask us to do, and I'm going to time us, is take 1 minute of silent, careful looking. I'm going to ask you to let your eye meander over this painting, making a mental list of observations. What are you noticing? I'm not asking us to analyze or interpret at this point. I'm really just asking us to notice light, lines, colors, shapes, objects. Just take in all the details you can in this minute, and we're about halfway there. If you think you've seen it all, one idea is to start at a corner and then zigzag through, pausing on anything that's interesting or curious to you, and then keep zigzagging through. Okay, thank you, our minute's up. Now, if we were live, I would ask us all to put in the chats and tell us what we're observing. But I'm gonna have to imagine today. And so I imagine that we are observing cows here in the front, pond, some rolling hills and lots of trees, a building right in the middle. Maybe we're noticing some birds more populated on the top of that copse of trees and then flying off to the upper left. Maybe we're noticing the two bridge structures in the middle on the left and that little donkey cart, the people fishing on the right, and the geese, objects across the pond under the tree there, they're cows. Maybe some of us are noticing right at the front of this painting, the bottom right, there's kind of chopped up brown earth. It's very invitational to kind of bring us into this painting. I imagine it's like under a big tree where the roots are kind of coming out and disrupting, so it's not this perfect grass, this perfect manicured grass that's a little chopped up. But some of us might be seeing that. Thank you. If I didn't get to what you're observing, my apologies. This is a place in England, it's Wivenhoe Park in Essex by John Constable. And I want to just dive in a little to Constable and some of the details in this painting. I think one of the reasons I picked this painting was because of the sky and how much I'm enjoying my chances to be outside during quarantine and taking my dogs on walks and noticing this beautiful spring and summer sky. Constable, this painting was painted in 1816. And that's about the time that the field of meteorology was becoming an actual field of study. And Constable was super interested in weather. And he invented something for himself. He just did about 100 sketches of the skies and different cloud formations. And he called it skying. So his skying work is these 100 canvases all capturing different light and clouds and sky and weather. And he would, when he was done, he would flip it over on the back of the canvas and write the date, the time, and then the direction of the wind. And you can see the quote here: "The sky is the source of light in nature, and it governs everything." So let's almost mentally cut this painting in half horizontally, and the whole top half is the sky. And Constable was very, very interested in how the sky correlated and reflected and interacted with the objects below. So take almost vertical lines throughout this painting and let your eye just match up. What's he doing in the sky and how's it impacting the earth below? There's shadows, there's breakthrough light, there's reflection. He really is trying to capture that for us. Let's zoom in a little closely here on a couple items, a couple objects in this painting. So on the far left is a little donkey cart with two female figures, and we know that one of the figures is a little girl named Mary Rebo. She is the daughter of the man who commissioned this. General Major Rebo lived on this estate, and he commissioned Constable to do some paintings for him. And Constable, 4 years earlier, when little Mary was 7, painted her portrait. And now she's 11, and she's just enjoying fishing and riding donkey carts and little outdoor activities, and he loves capturing her in his paintings. And we think she's the far one because he said he painted her as the one holding the reins. So my best guess is that she's the far one there, the 11-year-old little Mary Rebo. Because Constable was living on this property, and the time he's painting, he's engaged to be married, and he and his fiancée would write letters back and forth. And we have some of those letters, and so here's a part of a letter he wrote to his fiancée. "My dearest love, I am going to paint 2 small landscapes for the general. Views. One in the park of the house and a beautiful wood and piece of water, and another, a scene in a wood with a beautiful little fishing house where the young lady, who is the heroine of all these scenes, goes occasionally to angle." So in the middle, we see 2 figures casting out the nets for fishing. And then on the far right, we see what we saw, that building in the very center. It's small, and that's the house. But now in modern day England, it's actually part of Essex University. It's the Colchester campus of Essex University on this property. This is kind of fun. Here's something interesting that makes me chuckle. Constable thought he was done. The painting is gorgeous. He submits it to Major General Rebo. And the general says, not so much. He wanted it bigger. He goes, "I want it to encompass more. Can you redo it?" So Constable had to sew 3 inches of canvas onto each side and redo it and make it bigger. And I just chuckle because how many of us have encountered that before in our life? We think something's great and awesome. We turn it in and our teacher or our boss says, not so much. So I'll kind of give you context of how big this is. Here it is in situ. This is in the galleries of the National Gallery of Art. This is in the Constable Turner room. Both of these painters loved skies and loved light. And so our painting is, I'll tell you, it's actually 30 by 48 inches approximately. So it's not huge, you can see it there. And if you get really, really close, some people think they can see where the stitching is. I've gotten really close and I can't see it, but well, this is something else that's just random and it's fun about the gallery. Is on this big picture on the right, you see an easel with a painting, and that's work being done by a copyist, because many current artists today love to learn and study and improve by copying the masters and great artists. And so the gallery has a program where you sign up and fill out the paperwork and you apply, and you get to come in and be a copyist, and you get to paint in the galleries and make copies of what you see. I just think that's kind of fun right there. So back to our painting that we were looking at today. We've just chatted about a few little details about this painting, but I'm going to give us, before we wrap up, 30 more seconds to look quietly. Just let your eye meander. Maybe circle back to things you noticed earlier, or let yourself look at something new. When I work with very young students at the gallery, I always have us pack a picnic of favorite things. It's very fun to pick juice boxes and cookies and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And then I say, let's pretend you're going to jump in. Where would you want to jump in and have your picnic? So just enjoy this work for a minute. Okay, so my invitation to us today is a call to wonder. We are quarantining. We are trying to figure out how to survive and endure a pandemic. And every time we go outside to get the mail, to go to the grocery store, I'm just inviting us to throw our head back, look at the sky like John Constable did. He loved it. He studied it, and wonder. I know I walk my dogs all the time, but sometimes I just put in Audible. I look down. I just listen to my books and look down and walk the dogs. And it's just an invitation to pause, look up, and take in this beauty, this change, this something that's bigger than ourselves. So as Constable loved nature, and especially the skies, I'm inviting us to throw our heads back and wonder. So thank you so much for joining this art break. I hope you'll come back and look at another artist with me. Thank you.